Right. What about disassociation? How does that? What's the feature of that? This really interests me.
So dissociation, of course, is one of the body's natural reactions to deal with something that's terrible, and you shut down your emotions. You know, like that's, I think this happens very much also when you're a traffic officer and you come across car accidents, you see mangled corpses, you sort of dissociate, and you are able to cut off your feelings. You become this machine that does just the right things, and then you have learned to keep your body calm and not to get hijacked by your emotions. It's quite possible that afterwards you'll go home and have a nightmare, or start drinking, or beat up on your kids. So the dissociation may not last long enough for you to have no reaction at all. But dissociation is very much a way that kids deal with living in abusive households, and they stop feeling, and they stop noticing. Just they are able to shut off part of their brains and pretend like nothing is happening. In the animal world, you call this playing possum. Animals do that also. They look like they're dead. And it seems to have been a very good evolutionary inheritance that we have, that if we play dead in the jungle, supposedly, if you're a live animal, that means, you're alive, you're tasty, I'm going to eat you. The moment you're dead, and you look dead, a predator comes by and says, no, that dead creature is diseased, they'll pass you by. And I think that's sort of the origin of dissociation, is that if you go dead, you're more likely to survive.
Right.
But sometimes, for many people, the dissociation becomes a habitual way of moving through the world, and that means that you're out of it for a good amount of the time. And so you cannot engage in things that give you pleasure, engage in things that make your life grow, and you basically get stuck in shutting down.
I've spoken to a number of clinical psychologists on the show. I also have a number of friends in that profession. Right. Many of them have told me that through working in things like rape crisis lines, working in highly traumatic situations, that they kind of reached a point where, as a defense mechanism, that they could be sitting opposite someone telling them the most unbelievably harrowing things, and their emotions had kind of, as you said, disassociated. In your career, did that ever happen to you?
Well, that's an interesting thing you raised there. I've had that experience many times, not so much recently, until I learned about the mirror neuron system. In that, like, you have a very nice energy about you, and so I feel a sense of pleasure talking to you as long as you have a nice energy. And if somebody whispers in your ear, oh, something terrible has happened out there, you start becoming a little distracted, and our interview will go down because I'll miss your energy as a person to talk to. So a very common experience that I was appalled by initially is I would sit with people who would tell me horrendous stories, and I would feel nothing. And I'd go like, what's wrong with you? Are you getting burnt out? Like here, this person's telling me this story. And then I realized, no, I'm actually picking up their energy, that they're able to tell the story in a very disembodied way, so that you can take over, but I don't have to feel. So some people learn to tell horrendous trauma stories without having any feelings. And what we pick up is the lack of feelings, and our mirror neuron system makes it have a similar reaction. So in fact, our reaction is a dissociative reaction that we mirror from the people that we're working with. And so that should be a warning sign to us, like, oh, this person is shut down. And they are so locked in that telling the story, but their emotions are gone. And so then my job is to help them to feel. So my shutting down is a sign for me, I'm picking up what my patient's problem is, and we need to both work on feeling alive, even though we're facing terrible things here.